Well, John Jones is a fucking pile of shit. He's a fucking pile of shit. But you already knew that, didn't you? Well, it's time to reiterate that point because, as you probably know, John Jones was involved in another accident a few months ago. John Jones was trashed out of his fucking mind. And I know that because I can tell from his voice in the body cam footage. And John Jones, after getting into an accident, with another vehicle, with another person inside of it. He got out and fled the scene, leaving his girl in the passenger seat with no pants on to deal with the problem, because he's got class. Now, his girl, by the way, I should mention, that's not his wife or the mother of his kids. It's just some whore with no pants on. So, he's still living that good Christian life, like he's going to tell you all about the next time you give him a chance to speak. And I hope that's from a prison because he's a fucking pile of shit on top of being, again, a sociopath. To behave like that and then watch him in front of the cameras, I'm telling you, this guy's a sociopath. And I've never been more certain of that than after hearing his body cam footage here. He was on the phone with a cop who identified himself as a cop, and John Jones started making threats to a cop. I don't know the exact words. I've listened to it twice, but I know enough to know it's a threat. And even the police officer said something to the effect of, I was just threatened. And Jones didn't say, what? No, no, no. He just continued down that path and started, threatening with some wild shit. Shit that I couldn't really make sense of. I listened to it with subtitles as well. And it was like, all right, yeah, well, you won't be the first person I've taken out. When we get bored, we know how to deal with people or something. And then a minute later, he says, like, yeah, my brothers, they're feeling pretty bored right now. Might have to kill somebody or whatever. This was him. He was fucked up, but I don't give a fuck about his state of mind. That's what some people are always in a rush to defend scumbags with the context and the nuance. I don't give a shit about context and nuance. At one point, in history, every single serial killer that you know of was the biggest victim on the planet. When he was a kid, what his dad and mom did to him, beat the shit out of him, fucked him sideways, and all this traumatic shit where you would go, oh my God, that poor Ted Bundy, what they did to him. Oh, where are you at today, Ted? Oh, you're killing a dozen hookers? Or a few dozen? Okay, off with his head. I don't give a shit about the context and the nuance and the sob story. And the same goes for John Jones or any other pile of shit. I don't care how tough your life was or what state of mind you claim to be in. You're a fucking pile of shit and you're going to pay for your words. I mean, that would be me. In real life, I don't think he's going to have to pay for anything. I think he's going to get away with murder. And he might have already gotten away with murder if you ask him after he's tossed a few back. Because again, he's a fucking pile of shit. But yeah, John Jones knows this is how it goes with people, the context and the nuance. And he already made a tweet where he incriminated himself like a fucking idiot, admitting that he was on the phone with the cops. That was him because he never gave his name at the time. And, he was trashed and it's through a phone. He could have at least pretended it wasn't his voice. But now he can't pretend, even though he deleted the tweet. The tweet would show up in court. And John Jones, in that tweet, he said something about his own state of mind. Now, no, at that point, when I was talking to the officer, I was already in a paranoid and defensive state. I think that's what he said, because he's watched so many other scumbags being coddled by soft, bleeding heart fucking idiots that want to look for the context and the nuance. Fuck it. I don't give a shit what kind of state of mind he was in. That was John Jones on the phone. That was a police officer on the other end who identified himself as an officer. And John Jones, I guess that's what he does when he gets drunk, starts talking about people he's had killed and gonna have killed. Which Look, I'd almost be inclined to believe him that Jones and his people have committed murder, and even though they're fucking millionaires and whatever. He's just such a fucking scumbag sociopath that I'd probably give credence to that and not say, oh, it's just some tough guy drunk talk. I mean, when I get drunk, I don't make threats. I don't get tough. Sometimes I'll sing just a random lyric here or there. I'll be like, fucking, in a noisy bar in Neverland, I tried to call you. They're like, all right, al dente, we got to take you home. That's not my name, by the way. But John Jones, that's his go-to. Right away, he goes to, hey, I've had people killed and I'll have you killed and don't fuck with me. Real narcissistic, sociopathic, fucking P. Diddy shit. Just power gone to his head. Well, John Jones, I hope he faces everything I want him to face. I mean, you put me in charge of the fucking world, it'd be a better world in about a minute. But you put me in charge here, John Jones, I would cut his fucking head off and go, oh, you threaten a police officer and you're stupid enough to do it where we got the footage? I'd bring him into the middle of town and cut his head off, put his head on a spike, and then leave a sign around him like Gene Hackman did to Morgan Freeman in Unforgiven, even though Morgan Freeman didn't deserve that. But, you know, this is what happens to people who threaten police officers around here. That'd be the example I make of John Jones and everyone else. But that's not good enough. No one will ever meet my standards. No society will ever meet my standards. And I do expect John to get away with this in one way or another, even though, again, he did just incriminate himself. I just have it in my head, like I'm sure you do. Oh, yeah, the seas will part for this asshole. And once you get to a certain point where you have a certain amount of money, you're untouchable. And that's how I look at it with John Jones. I think he's going to get away with it. And I think it won't be long until the smoke clears. And when that smoke does clear, the only topic of discussion when it comes to John Jones is his legacy inside the octagon. And he's going to be remembered as an all-time great and all the yada yada, all that horse shit, the GOAT. And he's going to go into the Hall of Fame, even though, again, you put me in charge, no Hall of Fame for you. Just smash his fucking face into a wall and throw him in a cell. Well, again, I would probably cut his head off. But he deserves to have his life upended in one way or another. And I don't trust our supposedly fair society to get it done. But assuming it doesn't get done, I want you to always remember this guy was a fucking pile of shit and a sociopath. When he's sitting there being applauded and lauded and given awards and the Hall of Fame and all the rest of it, never forget that this guy showed you who he was when he was trashed again and just crashed a fucking car and left his fucking hooah girlfriend with no fucking pants on to sit there and deal with it because he's a dickless coward. And I want you to never let anybody praise this guy too much because he doesn't deserve it. Don't let it get to you when people praise him. Always remember this guy's a fucking scumbag. He's a dog shit citizen. He's a dog shit person. And he's a dog shit husband and father. I don't even know if he's married or whatever, but I know his kids want him to be at home with mommy instead of running around with some fucking trash bag, again, with no pants on, doing fucking God knows what kind of drugs and booze in the middle of the night and driving around fucking killing people. Halfway there, crashing into people and threatening to kill people. John Jones on the alcohol, the Dewey's alone, I'd throw him in a fucking cell, just like I would with Pat Miletich. Pat Miletich, whom I'm a big fan of, first UFC welterweight champion, but he's gotten 5 Dewey's in the last 5 years or whatever. Yeah, put me in charge of society, and I'd say, you need to be removed from society. You're acting like a fucking pile of shit. But throw in punching your wife and fucking cheating and MMA as well. Not that that's a big thing, but all the rest of it. And now threatening a cop. And just like I'm saying with John Jones, I would say, all right, Pat Miletich, off with his head. So, yeah, John Jones, then no one's going to cut his head off. No one's ever going to truly make him regret his actions. But I want you to remember that he's a fucking pile of shit. And don't let people try to fool you with the context and the nuance. He's a pile of fucking shit. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. And check out my other videos.